Okay, and we are live. What's going on, YouTube? Hope you guys had a great weekend. I'm sure if you were an NBA sports fan, you had depending on who's your team, you had an interesting weekend. So once again, this is the GOATcast podcast. I am CW here with my man BigNige. How's it going, BigNige?
I'm in the process of moving. I actually moved this Saturday, and I got a birthday on Friday, so I got a busy week.
All
But
right, so we're gonna have to give a birthday shout out to BigNige later on this week. Oh man, so yeah, so this weekend we saw game ones Saturday and Sunday for the Eastern Conference, Western Conference teams. So we're gonna kind of go through and see what your thoughts are and what I think about these first games. It's early. You might not can tell too much from these games, but I think some of these series were telling. And we're gonna start out East. Number one Boston Celtics versus the Miami Heat. They were victorious. Take a 1-0 lead. I don't have the score here in my right now pulled up, but safe to say Celtics won pretty handily.
It was 114 to 94.
114. Well, as you can see, that was somewhat of a game. But what's your thoughts? Boston Celtics, Miami Heat, par of the course.
I mean, I didn't catch a lot of this game. I really caught it on the back end, like second half. By that point, the game was over. I mean, it looked to me that Boston was raining threes. They weren't. This is one of the games where they weren't really missing too much. Outside of Jason Tatum, his 3-point shot's very iffy, which could be concerning down the road later in the playoffs. But for a team like Miami, no Jimmy Butler, it's going to be no problem for the Celtics. I will point out one thing though for the Heat. I think they had a nice little run, I'd say, from like into the third and the most of the fourth quarter. Obviously Boston took their foot off the gas, but I think it was Delron, right? I think he had some good moments in that game, kind of sparked some steals,
Yeah.
A little bit of momentum. I mean, if they could run right off of that, do I think they'll steal a game too? Absolutely not. But, could they win a game at home if Boston falls asleep behind the wheel? Maybe one game, but this series is probably going to be a sweep or at least a gentleman's sweep in 5.
Yeah. I mean, when Jimmy Butler went down, it was pretty much safe to say that this series was, even then, I don't know how competitive it would be, but when you lose your superstar and your main guy, it's going to be tough for you to win a series against the number one, the top rated team, one of the top defenses, one of the top team as far as wins this year. So, I mean, I guess it's pretty much par for the course. This doesn't change my mind at all because I believe Boston will probably sweep them. They could possibly pull off. The Heat, they're a tough team. They can do the right things at the right times to kind of stifle a team, especially a team that likes to shoot a lot. But just looking at that starting 5 for the Celtics, they shouldn't, as long as they're playing at least up to their standard, they should win this with no problem. And I think we saw that. I believe that was Sunday or yesterday. Yep. So yeah, not much to say on that one. Next up, we have the number 2 New York Knicks against the 7 Philadelphia Sixers. There's some that feel like this is going to be a series. The Knicks got them out of there, and it wasn't that close of a game. I mean, I didn't think so. I watched most of it. The Knicks were in control for most of that game. And Embiid is just, I mean, that man is, you can't question his toughness. He's trying to fight through it, but you got to know when to say when and maybe let that guy rest. But what do you think so far? I think we both picked the Knicks to win the series. The Knicks handle business at home. What you think?
On the contrary to what you were saying earlier, I think this game was a lot closer than it led on. And I mean, what was the final score? 104-111. I mean, this was a pretty close game throughout. I don't think I felt at any point in this game that Philly didn't have a legitimate chance to win and still game one. Um, it took some heroic efforts from I think it was Miles McBridge on the Knicks came off the bench and he was lighting them up. Off screens, off the catch and shoot. I think he was a really big factor in this game, which I don't think a lot of people um, even thought he was going to contribute, let alone even play with Tibbs rotation. I think the Knicks should be lucky that they pulled this game out because Philly was right there, and so a certain couple players for Philly didn't step up and produce, and obviously Embiid, we know he's not healthy, but he's playing at a level enough where you have to respect him and still show the appropriate amount of coverage at him to get other guys that allows other guys to get easy shots. And they just didn't hit some of them. Um, I think I think if I'm Philly, I'm feeling really good about game two. I mean, because you had some key
Really?
contributors. I mean, you had some key contributors like Tobias Harris. He didn't really do much last game. If he even gives you, instead of 7, he gives you maybe 15. This is a different ball game. And Kelly Oubre, we've seen him give them 20 on some games. He gave him 10. But the main guys was obviously Maxey, who gave him 33, which he looked amazing.
Yeah.
Embiid, as bad as he looked, he was still fine. He still gave him 29. And if they can just get one other person to come along with them, they could have stole that game. This is also under the assumption that the Knicks, Jalen Brunson, he didn't shoot the ball very well. I don't anticipate that to continue. They gave some pretty good, they put some pretty big wings on him. I think Oubre was guarding him sometimes. Lowry was getting up in him. So I think this is going to be a closer series than even I anticipated, even though I have the Knicks coming out of this in 6. This is going to be a very tough, hard-fought 6 or 7 game series, but I'm still leaning more toward the Knicks.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Knicks in a 7-game series, they're going to wear Embiid down. And Embiid, yeah, he did contribute. And like you said, they didn't get much from Tobias Harris, Kelly Oubre Jr. Yeah, and those others got to step up. And what's the guy's name from New York? McBride or something like that. What was his
Yeah,
name?
Miles McBride,
Yeah, Miles McBride. Yeah,
sniper.
Yeah, so that's what you need in the playoffs. You got to have guys that could come in, give you production like that. I mean, you take if one of your superstars are having a rough night, you got somebody that can come in and go above and beyond, and that's what the Knicks got. Maybe Tibbs see this, and maybe he's gets a few more minutes than he got even Saturday. But I think it's interesting series. Like I said, I thought I have the Knicks. A lot of people, for some reason, think the Sixers have this one, but I just think Embiid not being 100% isn't going to bode well for them. And I just think the Knicks are a good team. They're missing their second scorer in your boy Julius Randle, but I think they have enough right now to get the job done. So it doesn't shake my prediction at all. I think the Knicks will eventually get the job done. Now, a game that may have shocked some people, didn't shock me. I was one that said that I thought Milwaukee could win this Pacers series, this first round series against the Pacers, because the playoffs are a different beast. And I think mostly for me, the in-season tournament finals against the Lakers showed me what the Pacers are in high-stakes games, because the Lakers just crushed them wherever they wanted to crush them at. And we saw that yesterday with the Bucks. The Bucks came out with a pretty good game plan where they got it inside. They got it to Bobby Portis. They got it to Brook Lopez. Chris Middleton, we had a Chris Middleton sighting, so he actually showed up. And Dame Lillard showed up big time. I mean, it's kind of bad we scored 35 points in the first half and nothing in the second. But that's a little bit concerning if you're the Bucks. But he did enough to get them the win. So, what do you think about Game 1 for the Bucks and the Pacers?
I think how the game started, like looking at the first quarter, it really felt like both teams came out kind of sluggish. Nobody was shooting the ball very well at the beginning. Um, obviously, and then Dame Lillard starts going crazy, and the Pacers just didn't have an answer. Um, Tyrese Halliburton was one of my main X factors for the Pacers because I genuinely believe like they go as far as he can take them. And obviously, he only had 9 points, 8 assists, only took 7 shots, and that's not going to get it done in the playoffs. Obviously, this is where the Pacers are kind of showing their um, lack of experience in the postseason. They were running and gunning. They're playing too fast, shooting shots like 6 seconds into the shot clock,
Mm-hmm.
contested shots at that. And you're playing fast, missing a lot of shots, and you're giving the Bucks, without Giannis, multiple opportunities
Yeah.
to score. And obviously, the Pacers aren't a great defensive team, so you're just giving uh, the Bucks, who've been really well on the offensive end, more chances to score on you.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, like you said, Dame was going crazy. He had 35 at the half, and then they kind of switched up some defensive matchups on him. They were basically tripling and double teaming him whenever he touched the ball. So that's kind of why he went from historical 35 in the first half to nothing in the second half. But I mean, at that point, the game was pretty much already over.
Yeah.
It wasn't like they needed him to score anymore, especially when you're getting 23 from Middleton, 10 rebounds. Obviously you got 15 from Portis with 11 rebounds. So overall, just a really good team win for Milwaukee. But I'm looking for the Pacers to respond. Pascal Siakam and Miles Turner were like their leading scorers, and ironically, they're the two with the most playoff experience on the team. But I think they should look at Siakam earlier. I think you play through him, and you get kind of get Tyrese Halliburton off the ball, and just kind of let him see what you can do with Pascal, like getting the ball. And then obviously, as the game went on, then you kind of give control back to Halliburton and let them kind of give you two different looks instead of just running and gunning with Halliburton kind of swinging the ball. Like, let's play through Siakam first, see what that kind of gives us, and then kind of switch it up. And it would be my suggestion for game 2.
Yeah, Siakam looked really good in that game. I thought he was probably their best player out there, it seemed, for good stretches. Him
Most
and
definitely.
Turner. But yeah, they're going to have to. I guess they're going to have to lean on their veterans, Siakam, and to a lesser extent Turner. Halliburton, he had that hot start this season, but he has definitely declined a little bit, and that's unfortunate because I had high hopes for him. But he was my most improved player, but he didn't even make the top 3. So well. But anyway, I think the Bucks. I think this is their series to lose. I think they can switch styles up where the Pacers have to play their style, and that's all they can play. They can't slow it down. They can't, play a half court kind of game like the Bucks can. Brook Lopez showed he could. Like I said, Bobby Portis filled in pretty well for Giannis. And if they get Giannis back, then that's even worse for the Pacers. So, yeah, I think it's, I think it'll still be an interesting series. I could think it could go 6, but I think the Bucks are pretty much firmly the better team, and they showed it last night or yesterday. Going to the 4-5 matchup, the Cleveland Cavaliers and Orlando Magic. The issue that I said would bother the Magic showed up. They can't score. So when you are in the 2024 season and your high is 83 points, that's very telling. They need some offensive firepower. Cleveland, Donovan Mitchell came out to play, which was one of my questionable things as far as the X factor. Was he going to take this serious, even though he's a little disgruntled? But he came to play. He scored what? He had
30 points.
30, yeah. So he came, he was pretty nice for him, and they had a concerted effort from everybody on Cleveland, which I felt if they got that, they were going to be a problem for Orlando, who is a top. They were, I think, the third best defense this year, but being a good defense and not a good offensive team is, you know, you go back to the Spurs for that, but at least they had a Tim Duncan to fall back on. But yeah, so what do you think, Orlando and Cleveland? What you think about that game?
So like you said, Donovan Mitchell was kind of, he got them going early. He got the building jumping. He was lighting them up from downtown. Obviously, like I said, he had 30 points. He had three steals too, which that's kind of what you want from your best player. You want him on both sides of the ball, giving maximum effort. Um, one other thing is also Evan Mobley. 16 points, 11 rebounds, three blocks. He was shooting 6 for 12 from the field, but 2 for 4 from three, and that's a eye opener for me. If he can actually space the floor, at a respectable level instead of being kind of a paint clogger like Jared Allen is, that'll do some things for you if you're Cleveland, because you can stay big and keep the floor space. So we'll see if his 3-point shot holds up. Obviously, Jared Allen was a monster. He gave them as well 16 points, but 18 rebounds. I think for the Cavs as a whole, they had a lot of great dribble penetration from Garland, Donovan Mitchell, Karis LeVert, and a couple other people. They were just getting to the paint at will, but they were getting so deep in the paint that it would, cause Jonathan Isaac, who Magic started at center, which I'll get into that in a second. He'd have to kind of bite on the drive, and they just do a little dump off to Jared Allen, and he just keep dunking it, or Evan Mobley, just dump off pass, dunk. They scored a lot in the pick and roll compared to the Magic, where the Cavs ran 42 pick and rolls and got 39 points out of it, where the Magic ran 37 pick and rolls and only got 14 points. It's
Oof.
very telling with that
Yeah.
stat right there of who dominated. Um, Obviously, neither team shot the ball very well, which is very interesting for the Cavs, because even though they were running away with this game, they weren't shooting the three ball that great as well. But the main thing was the 54 rebounds, to Orlando's 40. They dominated them on the glass, and one of my things that I thought Orlando would do, being as a big physical team and a defensive minded team, was I feel like they would have crashed the boards a little bit better. They did not, and as a result, they got whooped. Um, and then just briefly touching the Magic, it was a solid showing for Paulo. He had 24 points, 7 rebounds, 5 assists. Shot solid from the field. Didn't really shoot the ball from three very well, which he never really does anyway. No, nor does anybody else on that Magic team, just to be honest.
One of the worst teams in the
But he
NBA.
had 9 turnovers. And obviously, his first playoff game, obviously some playoff jitters, they're throwing you different coverages at you, and you're trying to show that you're the guy. You're going to get that kind of attention in the playoff series. It's going to be different. So I can understand the 9 turnovers. Obviously, you want him to clean that up going into game two and kind of see what you can get. Jalen Suggs for the Magic, 13 points on 4-16 shooting. It's not going to get it done. 1 of 7 from the 3-point line. In 32 minutes of action, they're just not going to get it done. Gary Harris, the starting guard, 33 minutes, no points. Like, again, I like the adjustments they made in the second half, but like you said, they're not very good at scoring, and that's why they lost.
Yeah,
Um,
they
if I could
can't
suggest
score.
one thing, um, I would give more playing time to Mo Wagner and allow him, because when he gets the ball, he kind of gets to business early. And I think going to a guy like him, bringing him off the bench to spell for some of your lack of offensive production from your guards can kind of help keep you in some of these tighter games. But that's all I have.
Yeah, well, yeah, I think I chose Cleveland. Feel pretty good about that. Orlando can't score, so if you can't score, you can't win. So let's jump out west, where the number one OKC Thunder kind of slept on team, number one team. We got it wrong. We predicted the Sacramento Kings would be in that ace spot, and got a surprise where Brandon Ingram actually showed up to that playing game against the Kings, and he actually showed up last night too. The Pelicans made this a game. The Thunder won by, I believe, 2 points, 3 points.
I think it was
Um,
94-92.
yeah, because a low scoring game for both teams, and OKC looks young. I can say that from watching that game, and it might just be, like you said, the jitters as far as Paulo and these guys are just getting into the playoffs. Nobody other than Hayward has any kind of true playoff experience, and it kind of tell because they would go on runs and then it would be like they kind of stagnate and the Pelicans would take over. It was kind of a back and forth kind of game, which was a good game. Um, but Shea, in the end, showed that he is an MVP candidate and put his team on his back and won that game. So, what do you think about this Thunder Pelicans game one? Is it making you? Because we picked the Kings, I believe both of us picked the Kings to beat the Thunder, and the Pelicans showed that they had the, Trey Murphy the third was, kind of killing them. So,
Mm-hmm.
do you think that the Thunder might have some issues here against the Pelicans?
Okay, so I think for this game, I think the Thunder probably played as bad as they probably could have. Um, and if you look at the Pelicans on their end, I don't think I haven't seen CJ McCollum play like CJ McCollum in probably at least a few games now. And everybody's asking, when is he going to get that breakout game? When is he going to finally start hitting a lot of these shots that he's bricking? You know, because this was a very winnable game for the Pelicans. Brandon Ingram, even though he was primarily guarded by Lou Dort was bothering him. He's getting up in them, being physical. Um, I think that the Thunder are going to probably continue with that matchup, but I also believe that they're going to start throwing more doubles at Brandon Ingram
Mhm.
because Lou Dort's a great defender and all, but he's not going to be able to contain Brandon Ingram for very long,
No.
especially with the adjustments that Willie Green, who's a pretty good basketball coach, will do to put Brandon Ingram in good spots to score. I think Valanciunas showed a very dominant rebounding
Got
performance
to
when he
mention
had,
him. Yeah, he was killing them.
and they probably could have looked for him a little bit more, in my opinion, because obviously Chet's a great shot blocking, like help side defender, but if you go right through his chest, there's not much he can do with his skinny frame. Um, but I still, believe it or not, I mean, if the Pelicans can get right, if they can just get some solid contributions, because like you said, Trey Murphy, Valanciunas, Larry Nance is coming there giving them good minutes,
Mhm.
and Jose Alvarado, they have the pieces to win. It's just, can their starters, more specifically Ingram and McCollum, can they show up in game two? Because if they show up in game two, I definitely believe they have the opportunity to steal a game, and take that momentum back to New Orleans. But on the Thunder's side of things, obviously Shea can do more. He obviously put them on their back, but he didn't really have to do that much. Also, in that fourth quarter, I think they had like almost 5-6 minutes of not scoring. Um, so that's very indicative, especially it being on your home floor. If I'm the Thunder, I'm a little bit worried because they didn't play well either, and they were really close in this game. I mean,
Yeah,
just like
how
they
much?
didn't play well.
Yeah, how much did Chet give him?
He gave them 15 points and I think 11 rebounds.
Okay, so
Um,
not bad.
he gave them solid production, but their youth is showing,
Yeah,
and they need to make sure they put this Pelicans team away. What you don't want is to give them life,
yeah,
because when you're a young team and palms get sweaty and you're thinking you're winning, and next thing you know, it's 2-2 going back to OKC. There's pressure because they showed they can play up to your level as the number one seed. So the Thunder need to go ahead and take care of business. Go ahead and win game two. Try to steal one on the road and close this thing out, because you don't want this series going past 6 games.
And now I see Nick Wright and Colin Coward and some of these people said that the team we're going to talk about next should have maybe, uh, AD might have wanted to, talk about his eye, and LeBron might have sat for his ankle. Because I think the Lakers against this Thunder would have had their way because
Oh yeah.
those long stretches of no points and them not being able to get into any kind of rhythm offensively, most playoff teams would have, and the Pelicans did a pretty good job of getting some points off of that. But good playoff teams would have penalized them big time for those long stretches. So as we talk about Lakers, we'll go to the number 2 Denver Nuggets versus Los Angeles Lakers that took place Saturday night. Good game. It looked like the Lakers kind of, came out and punched them, but the Nuggets and Jokic are a pretty high basketball IQ team, so they were able to take those punches and just kind of roll off of them and keep their composure and win that game. Jokic finished with, I believe, 32 and 12.
Yep, with 7 assists.
7 assists and 2 steals. 2 pretty nice steals. He was the big man or the big scorer for the Nuggets. Jamal Murray had 22. I think Gordon had 19. All the starters were in double figures, so they all played well. The Lakers, I thought, played pretty good. They didn't get probably what they wanted out of some of their wing players, Austin Reeves being one. The person you'll probably go after, but I don't think he was that bad. D'Angelo Russell and Hachimura, I think, took 4 shots the whole game. Which if your starters are only taking not even a full handful of shots, that's not good. So I'm gonna let you handle this Nuggets Lakers game 1.
Where do I begin? Okay, so we can both say first half probably was the best half the Lakers probably could have played outside of getting more contribution from your role players. And Denver was just flat out missing great shots, open looks, missing layups. They were just not engaged. And even still, with the best possible half for the Lakers, they were only up like 3 points. That's very demoralizing if I'm the Los Angeles Lakers.
Took a last second 3 from LeBron.
Yeah, like we had a great first half, and they didn't have a very good first half, but they still stayed. They showed their poise, they showed their experience, and they just stayed the course. And as a result, there was only a 3-point game at halftime instead of like a 13-point game at halftime. And then the second half rolls around, and it's weird because the first half we had a fully engaged LeBron James. AD was given great production, and he continued to give good production into the second half. But LeBron kind of took his foot off the gas. A lot of people are kind of throwing the narrative out that he quit and all this, all that. He looks old. He looks washed. I wouldn't go that far. He definitely was a little bit careless with the basketball. 7 turnovers. That's not LeBron James-esque. Maybe some fatigue on that. Maybe some frustration with certain how the game was going. Maybe you could throw it. You could throw in a multitude of different things, but obviously, we need more. We need LeBron to take more shots in the second half. All right, that's a given. Now let's get to the role players for the Lakers, because obviously we know what the Nuggets did. Like you said, Jokic did his 32 and 12, 7 assists. Jamal Murray didn't play that well. He had 22, but on 24 shots. Like that is a blessing for the Lakers. But speaking of the Lakers, let's start with D'Angelo Russell. Now, I know you're expecting me to come in here and destroy this man, but I'm gonna give him a pass on one thing. One fact. For as bad, because he did have some a bonehead pass or two, but he only had one turnover. All right, LeBron had the most of the turnovers, and those turnovers led to transition points, and that was really painful for the Lakers. But on the other hand, D'Lo going 6 for 20 from the field and 1 for 9 from the 3-point line, I can't overlook that either, because there were some very questionable shots he was taking when we knew early on that he had the coldest hand in the entire building. I mean, he could not shoot. He couldn't make a layup. Like, let's not act like he was just clanking wide open shots. Like, he was shooting contested shots. LeBron would give him a little pocket pass. And I remember in the third quarter, he smokes a layup, right? And I'm just saying, like, this is the guy who we need to play at the level he played during the regular season, if not higher. Like, 20 shots, 13 points, it's not going to cut it. Like, we already know, defensively, he's not the greatest. Like, I saw the Lakers scheme of trying to hide him, let him kind of roam and kind of play free safety and get in passing lanes, which he's shown he has the ability to do that, at least an average NBA level defender level. So, that looks good for him. I need him to hit some more shots, right? I need Reeves. I need him to be more aggressive. There was too many times with him and Rue, we would catch the ball and just look for LeBron, look for AD, and not look for your shot. Like, at least be physical, be assertive. Like, get your name. Like, go, man. It's the playoffs. Like, Rui, 4 shots, 31 minutes, and Rui's a solid scorer. He's not he's not an All NBA or All Star, but he's a solid player. He's better than just 4
better
shots.
Than 4 shots. He's definitely better than that.
I swear. And I don't know why we have Spencer Dinwiddie minutes in the playoffs. Like, 13 minutes of Spencer Dinwiddie is crazy. That's diabolical to me. But I think personally we should give more minutes to Gabe Vincent, who's tested, he's proven.
He was in foul trouble.
I mean he was, but like, he only had 3. I mean, it's not like he had 6. And he couldn't do no worse than D'Angelo Russell. I mean, I'm just saying, man. Like,
yeah, I mean, I agree.
Hats off to the Nuggets. Obviously, they stayed poised. They were composed, and they earned this victory by just out executing the Lakers, which everybody knows that they are more than capable of doing. But just seeing how the Lakers lost like this, or a game where I felt like everybody felt like it could have been closer, and they could have definitely overcame Denver at the end. You just got to have more production from your role players, and you need to have 48 minutes of a fully engaged LeBron James and Anthony Davis, or you're not going to win.
No, I agree. And top that off, Nikola Jokic is the greatest basketball player right now. His IQ is on another level. But yeah, going back to what you were saying, D'Angelo Russell, you have to kind of give a pass to, because, like you said, he 6 for 20 ain't good and 1 for 9, but he still turned the ball over.
Yeah.
And do you trust D'Angelo Russell in the playoffs? I mean, we've heard Nick Wright, we've heard lots of people say he's great for stretches, and then the playoffs come and he shrinks. But then you have to ask, who do they have to step up? Is it Austin Reeves? Do you hope Gabe Vincent can catch fire like he did with Miami? I don't think – I heard you not put much faith in Spencer Dinwiddie, so I'm not even going to ask that one. Taurean Prince, he came in and played pretty well for the minutes he got. But with all that said, do you think tonight's a must-win game for the Lakers?
A must-win? No. I think a must-win game would be a game 3. I think if they just take care of business at home, and like let's just say they lose game 2, but they somehow, I'm not predicting anything at this point, but say they somehow win games 3 and 4. Now that puts pressure back on Denver to execute for game 5. And if they were to lose a game 5, Denver, and then come back to LA and win game 6, like all things that are just theories right now. Obviously, we're not betting on nothing or picking anything, but you're asking me, is game 2 a must-win game? I would say no, but that just puts more pressure on the Lakers and your role players to you have to win game 3 because if you don't, you're going home in game 4.
Okay. I mean, to me, it feels like a team you haven't been beat in 9 tries. You go down 10-0 or 0-10. That does something to your psyche. That just does something to your confidence. I know LeBron James is LeBron James, and that type of pressure does not, he sees past that, but it still works your way in your psyche. Even maybe it won't be anything for LeBron, but Anthony Davis. I mean, you just can't get it done against a Jokic. Does that kind of make you a little more timid? Does that make you a little more, or does that make you try too hard and try to do too much?
I think he should go at I think AD should go at Jokic more. Get him in foul trouble. Like.
But the Nuggets are smart enough. They're not going to leave Jokic out there with guarding AD. He's just going to let him dunk. He's just going to let him score. I've watched it. Even in other games against other big men, he's going to if he gets 2 quick fouls, expect him to play no defense the rest of the game because he's going to let them just dunk or do whatever they want to do, and he's just going to stand there and look. So, good luck fouling him out because he's not going to do nothing. If he gets 2, there's no defense being played by Jokic. So, I've seen it. So, next we have another pretty good series. I kind of slept on this series, but watching game 1 was pretty interesting. The number 3 Minnesota Timberwolves versus the 6 Phoenix Suns. I have very little faith in the Timberwolves, but game 1 made me a believer. So Anthony Edwards might be that next guy. The way he welcomed the challenge, and he's going against his idol, his favorite player, KD, and he was talking a lot to his idol. And he wasn't scared of the moment, and that's a big thing when you have somebody that talented but that young. A lot of times they'll kind of falter. We've seen it with maybe Tyrese Halliburton, but Ant-Man stepped up to the pressure and he showed what he can do. And the Timberwolves really showed they're a very well-oiled machine, and I'm kind of scared for Denver. If Denver happens to get by the Lakers, I think they're going to have a pretty tough time with the Timberwolves if the Timberwolves get by the Suns, which I think they will. But Timberwolves look like a very, very good team, and that's what you have to be to win a championship. You have to be a well-put-together team. So what's your thoughts on game 1 between the Timberwolves and Phoenix Suns?
I think before I read off any stats, I'm gonna just say this. Anthony Edwards said that he wants to prove that he's like the best at his position. Like he's the best. He wants to say that he's the best player in the league, and he's trying to make that case. But if you're looking at the Suns, I don't really know what you can take from game 1 to give you confidence that you can win a game 2. Most thing I can say for the Suns, y'all got to box out. All right, 52 rebounds from Minnesota to 28. I mean, I know the Suns aren't the best rebounding team, but like, come on now. This is the playoffs. You let a team beat you by that much in a rebounding game, you're not. Yeah, the score was 120-95. It probably could have been worse.
No effort.
Like, it's not about being tallest and the strongest. Like, just box out and effort, But, obviously KD, I think for the Suns, KD showed up, 31 points, 11 to 17 shooting, two from the 3-point line. Personally, I thought he should have shot more. And I know they were throwing some different coverages at him. Another notable point is, the whole quote about Anthony Edwards saying that they have KD, but we have McDaniels, And I was thinking McDaniels, who's like, about 6'10", 6'11", was going to guard KD, and he was guarding Booker. And he put Booker in prison. I mean, maximum security prison. Like Booker was shot 5 for 16, and you know exactly why. He took him out of this game. Booker might as well have been sitting down because That man was not getting no space from McDaniels. And another point is Towns was guarding KD. That wasn't a matchup I was expecting.
No,
Um,
that was interesting.
That's interesting from their coach. But I mean, obviously, Booker and Bill didn't play very well. I mean, we kind of understand that. I think Bill should have took more shots, but as a result, he only had 15 points on 6 of 10 shooting. 37 minutes of action, 10 shots is not enough if you're in the postseason and you're, one of the three best options on your team. Gotta shoot the ball more, especially when your man Booker's in jail. You gotta bail them out some way, give them some more offense. Looking for the Timberwolves, Anthony Edwards, as great as he played, he also had 6 turnovers. This is one of those games where his three ball was falling. I'm interested to see how the Timberwolves play when his shot is not falling. Does that bode well for a team like the Suns? If you kind of just back off him a little bit and kind of let him walk into it, will he, continue to make? Because he shot 4 for 8 this game. We know he's capable of going from 4 to 8, 1 for 6, 2 for 8. He's not the strongest 3-point shooter. But that's not going to stop him from getting downhill and putting one of your centers or one of your wings in the rim. So I like what I saw from Towns. Gobert, obviously 14 points, 16 rebounds. But I think the biggest key was the bench. And what one of your X factors and one of your guys you brought up was Naz Reid, who you said that could be a starting center for any other team, but he's decided to play 6-man to Rudy Gobert. Him and Alexander Walker combined 30 points off the bench, 5 steals. I mean, that's excellent. They shot 13 more shots than the Suns because of the rebound discrepancy. So you get more opportunities to score. You get a 120-95 victory. So, I mean, if I was the Suns, obviously you need more effort on the glass, and you got to hit some shots. If you guys are a perimeter shooting team, if you ain't making them, you're not winning. So
find a way to score.
If you want to win, you got to hit your shots, or you got to find some way to slow down Anthony Edwards.
Yeah, I agree. And that's what should be scary for Denver. Now, I'm not saying Denver's already. I'm not putting them already beyond the first round, but that's going to be a scary thing for them. Is Minnesota's bench is, it's not like Jokic is going to have Jackson Hayes guarding him once Gobert goes down. He's going to have Naz Reid, and they can put Cat on him some too. So he's going to have a bunch of guys, big bodies that they can throw at him. So that's going to be could eventually be an interesting matchup. But let's talk about the last series, the Clippers and the Mavericks. A lot of people have been high on the Mavericks. Luka's been looking every bit of an MVP. I was getting pushed back from a certain person, a part of this podcast about the Clippers, where I said the Clippers, I feel good about the Clippers. I think they're, poised for a good playoff run. And as we saw yesterday, they threw massive punches, and the Mavericks had nothing to combat it. They had no defense for it. They just crumbled to those punches. The Clippers, even though it ended up being a 12-point game at the end, there was no doubt in this game. And the key to this game was somebody that you said to me, you laughed when I said this name. I recall in our Western Conference predictions, James Harden as being an X factor. I just said he needs to contribute. As long as he contributes something, that puts them over the top. And when he contributes, 28 points? Something like that. And he's shooting the 3 like he shot it. I don't know if there's a team out west that can beat them. But, of course, they're going to need Kawhi in the end. But Clippers beat Dallas in their first game. I think Ty Lue put together a heck of a game plan. They took Gafford completely out. Gafford was a no-show. Lively did a little something, but he was a no-show. Zubac was maybe one of the breakout players of yesterday, and he just showed his dominance, and he just showed them that there's levels, and those guys aren't at that level yet. So, what do you think about the Clippers Mavericks game one?
All right, a couple things first. All right, so when I talked about the Clippers and Mavs, my X factor and my X factor was James Harden and Russell Westbrook. Right? I said I know what we're going to get from Kawhi, assuming he gets back on the court whenever that time is, and I know we're getting from Paul George. But James Harden and Russell Westbrook are the difference makers because they can do so much more for the other guys. And we saw full well, we have a fully engaged James Harden. He gives you 28 points, 8 assists. He set the tone early. Russell Westbrook came in. He set the tone early on defense. And obviously Zubac, the guy you just brought up, 20 and 15, they had no answers for him. Lively, you're tall, you're athletic, you ain't got nothing for me. Gafford, you're basically unplayable. Like they had no answer for Zubac early, and that was the key early on. Because yes, Harden was lighting them up from downtown, but the person who really got things going for them was Zubac. They went to him early, they got it in the post, and then he could not be stopped. So those three guys to me were the main guys. Obviously, Paul George, he had a rough start, but he kind of came on as the game progressed. He chipped in 22 points, didn't shoot the ball very well from the field or from three, for that matter. But
he was a non-factor.
But they had 5 guys in double digits, right? So obviously, another question would be like, will Harden continue to play like this going forward? And if he continues to find his rhythm, what does he look like when Kawhi gets back? Right? 2 things you want to watch out for as we look into game 2 and the rest of the series. But obviously, big picture from the Clippers, they jumped on Dallas early, didn't look back. Now let's go to Dallas really quickly. So Luka and Kyrie, they both showed up, combined for 64 points of their 97. All right. Pretty much over 2/3 of their points. So let's get to the other guys, because the main problem with them was nobody else showed up on the Dallas Mavericks. You got Derrick Jones Jr., 17 minutes, 0 points. All right. PJ Washington, a guy we were high on when they, traded for him. He's never been the greatest 3-point shooter. I don't know. Just because you play with Luka, you just become a 2-way shooter where you're just jacking up. Like, no, he's never been a good shooter. He's been okay, but to the point where he was shooting them, heck no. And his inexperience showed when to play when things got chippy with him and Westbrook. Obviously they get the little push thing. Now he's all riled up, and he goes down there on the other end and tries to take his head off. I'm surprised they didn't review it, because that was a pretty hard smack. Even though he made a play on the ball and it wasn't intentional, they could have easily got him up out of that game just from that one emotional play. So I'd like to see him keep his composure a little bit more as the series goes on. But he gave you 11 points. But again, it was basically virtually nothing because he's a non-factor on the offensive end in terms of spacing the floor and hitting timely shots. Obviously, Gafford, he had an ankle injury, so I'll give him that. But 14 minutes, 3 points, 1 for 4 from the field as a center, that's just not good enough. Lively, 19 minutes of action, 3 points, not good enough. Kleber, a guy that you can get you 15 points. He's been a very good player.
He played a lot.
And he got 26 minutes, 3 points. Dante Exum, 15 minutes of action, 3 points. Like these are a slew of guys. Like I just gave you 6 guys, and only one of them scored double digits. Like that's not going to win you games. Like you have to get contributions from your supporting cast. So I like to see more minutes for Josh Green. I think the minutes that he did play, he was lively. He acted like he wanted to be out there, and just he was ready for the moment. He just didn't get no burn. And then even though Tim Hardaway Jr.'s defense is laughable at this point in his career, he still gave you 6 points in 15 minutes. I would have liked to see him maybe get 10 more minutes of action. Maybe
I was shocked by that. They didn't play him much.
So maybe he could have got you maybe like a double digits at least. I think if he would have played 10 more minutes, he would have got them double digit points.
Yeah.
It's just on the defensive end, it probably would have been even more of a nightmare. So
Mm.
I'm looking for Dallas' supporting cast to not shoot that bad. I mean, the Clippers shot 50% from the 3-point line. So let's not act like this is just a very telling show. Like they couldn't miss, right? And Dallas couldn't make anything, like not even layups. So I'm gonna say this game's more of a aberration, and I'm looking more toward game two. Like let's see after both teams settle in a little bit. Jason Kidd does a little bit of retooling with the game plan, and let's see. Let's circle back game two because if game two was as ugly as game one, then we might have a different kind of series than what I thought.
Thought the Clippers played some pretty decent defense for them. They were contesting shots. They were in their faces.
I mean, yes and no. I mean, they were. I think the
At
Clippers
least for the first half.
Yeah, I think they were playing good defense, but at the same time, it's like as the game went on, we kind of was like, are the Mavericks ever going to hit the shot? Are they ever going to get into their offensive
Luka.
rhythm?
Yeah, Luka was not Luka.
Yeah, he wasn't shooting the ball well, which he's not the greatest shooter, but for this season, this is his like best statistically 3-point shooting season, and even he wasn't shooting the ball very well. Like, but him and Kyrie were phenomenal, outside of Luka's shooting woes. But
yeah,
they just need some help.
I agree. And quick plug for the GOATcast Hoops channel. I did do what each playoff team was missing, and I said for Dallas it was ball movement. And I think it showed yesterday that their ball movement can be a little bit stagnant at times. And against a team like the Clippers, if you stagnate and you don't have the best shooters, when PJ Washington's hitting and Dante Exum and Tim Hardaway Jr., when those guys are hitting, that's fine. You can wait to the last second, hit one of those guys, and they can hit a shot. But when they're not, it shows big time, and it showed yesterday, I thought. But with all these said, have your mind been changed any in these first games? Have you switched up any of your picks? Do you think do you want to go back and revisit any of your picks or predictions, or you feel pretty comfortable with what you've come up with?
I mean, this Dallas series, I want to see how they look in game two. Because obviously, if Luka and Kyrie are just going to average 30 and everyone else is going to average like 5, then yeah, that this is going to be a rough series for not only them but anybody with a supporting cast is playing as bad as theirs is so far. I don't remember. Did I pick Orlando to beat the Cavs? I think I picked them in.
I thought we both picked Cleveland.
We might have both picked Cleveland, but I just saw at the time of this recording, obviously that Cleveland has a 2-0 lead, and I think I saw that Jalen Suggs just got injured. From what I saw, so obviously you lose him, who's like your best defensive guard,
and they scored 86 points.
Off his team,
86 points. So they've in their first 2 games, 83 points and 86 in a day and age where most of these teams are averaging well above 110. You might want to get them brooms out for this one.
I think they'll make it a series when they go home. Like if they just get beat down in game 3, then it's probably going to be over.
I hope they can do something because you hate it. I mean, I'm hoping Jamal Mosley can. I don't think he's going to win that Coach of the Year, but I'm glad he did get in the top 3. He's done very well. That nobody preseason had the Orlando Magic team doing much, and they've overachieved. So you don't want to go see them go out like this. But a few notes tonight so far. It looks like the Knicks might go up 2-0 on Philly. Another low-scoring game, but
physical.
Yeah, that's what happens with playoff basketball. So for me, I'm about to go watch this Lakers Nuggets game.
Oh God, I don't know. I might I might not watch it live is what I'll say because my daggone stress level is gonna be through the roof if I see some crazy
But
D'Lo stuff.
this ain't must win, like you said. It's for you. You don't think this is must win. So they
No, but I mean I don't want to see them lose by doing some dumb stuff. You know, I ain't trying to see people shoot 40 footers when they can't even make a layup. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's my opinion at least.
I'm gonna call this the Spencer Dinwiddie game. Watch and see.
He's solid defensively. I give him that, but offensively, no. Sit down, please. Bury him in the bench and put somebody like Gabe Vincent who can at least shoot. We need buckets, please.
I'll do. Well, hopefully, well, maybe this will be his night. I'm interested in this matchup. It was good, at least first half game last time. I'm gonna try to stay up and watch it. But any parting words as we prepare to end this episode?
No, y'all make sure y'all like, comment, subscribe. Obviously, if you see us having a live stream, you know, come pull up, say what's up.
Yeah.
You know, drop any questions that you have for us.
Yeah,
We'll
come
answer
hang out. Yeah, and shout out to Tim Edits. He came a little early. We were a little late, you know. It's Monday, and
Oops.
but thank you for coming. So back to you. So yeah, we're going to go ahead and end this stream. Hope you guys enjoy. Like you said, please like and subscribe. If you're out in the Atlanta area, CW will be at the Black Effect was it podcast conference, whatever, this weekend, Saturday. So come check us out. I didn't get no shirts made, so sorry guys.
I would have been there if I wasn't moving, but
yeah,
I'll be moving that day.
He's moving in his mansion, so you know.
No, I wouldn't go that far.
The big dog he got things to do, you know, he got money to make. So those little guys, we're gonna be there at the
you 6'6", you ain't little.
Us little people. So yeah, just come check us out if you're out that way. And once again, we appreciate you guys watching, liking, and just giving us your feedback. We appreciate it. So hopefully you guys will continue, and we'll continue to, if you enjoy live streams, let us know, and we'll continue to do those. So I'm gonna go ahead and get some of this pizza and go watch this Lakers Nuggets game. So check you guys out next time.